Let me know. Tonight on Debate Amongst Friends, Doc and Prof go over the 2019 NBA Finals preview and give our predictions and so.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Generation X proudly brings to you its WWF Tag Team. Wait.
Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh.
No,
Wrong.
no,
That's not my line.
no. My name is Enzo Amore.
Oh, wait, no,
No. That's
that's
not it.
that's
That's not
definitely
it
not it.
either. No. What you
Mm-mm.
gonna do, brother? No, dang it, that's
Ooh,
not it either. What?
that's definitely not it. Oh my God.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is the Professor John Gotti. Welcome to another fine edition of Debate Amongst Friends, live on YouTube, Periscope, and on Twitch. Thank you very much for tuning in with us. It is our NBA Finals 2019 NBA Finals preview. But before we get started, I gotta introduce my client who I advocate for in the winner corner, the reigning, defending, undisputed podcast champion. Now, B-Dorm, the ever-loving out of you. Doc Lesnar, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. I'm doing well. Always great to get such a great entrance. One day,
One
I
day,
am going to come out here and do something so spectacular that you will be on tilt.
as long as you don't take a briefcase and act like a boombox with it, I'm totally fine with that.
Wow. Who doesn't want to go to the Brock party?
I really don't. In fact, I'll be the one kicking the Brock party into an ocean.
Wow.
I will have a
That's
Lesnar sunset, and I'll have an ocean return for season 4.
I mean,
See what I did there? See what I
better
did there?
than it's better than the Lake of Magical Tears.
You're never gonna let the Lakers live that
Ever,
down. Oh, the
ever.
the things that I think of.
That will never, ever not live on.
It'll never,
That's
ever be the same again.
yeah, that's awesome.
But sir, how you doing today? Are you hype?
Uh, you know, let me tell you something, Mean Gene. Oh wait, we started that earlier, didn't
Yeah, I'm
we?
like, wait, we already
That's
did
not
that
something we're
shtick.
doing. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Mean Gene. Nope, nope.
no.
That's
See, I
not
did
it
that. I
either.
said that this
That's
morning
not
when I
it
was
here.
like, Pod by God Wednesday. Woo!
I mean, I guess I could start off like, well, here's a guy who no,
Oh.
that's definitely not it. Well, I'm doing pretty good, man. I think I'm stuck in the middle of doing good and, of course, stressing about my Rockets, of course.
Yeah, there's a
But
lot
it's not
going
really
on
about
there.
the Rockets, and that's the thing that stinks about the media. I know we talk about it quite often, but it stinks because I'm supposed to be focused on the Warriors and the Raptors
Yes.
right now.
Yep.
But I'm so worried because there's so much talk of blowing up my team, but that's neither here nor there. I might save that for the final thought to really go into detail with it. Let me tell you something, brother.
Tell me something. Talk to Gotti.
Kawhi, Michael, Jeffrey, Jordan, Leonard
No, you did
is
not
what
just do that. No, you
it's just
didn't. Don't do
everybody's
that.
doing it.
Don't you
So I
start this off
mean,
with this. Don't you start this off with this.
Kawhi, Michael, Jeffrey, Jordan, Leonard
Don't you do this to me.
is out here playing like he's playing like he got a chip on his shoulder.
He does have a chip on his shoulder because 2 years ago, people were ready to crown him as the second best player in the NBA. And then
True.
suddenly, people forgot he freaking existed.
They did. They did. There's no
The,
question
the,
about
the
it.
amount of disrespect. See, you have to make me go into these tangents again. And we just got finished doing this. The amount of
We did.
disrespect that Kawhi Leonard has gotten this year alone is asinine. And the amount of memes because of his laughter. When it happened, yes, it was funny. I chuckled as well too. But this is the problem that we have. You take something and you continue it for a whole. It's not funny anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
Like I said, when I
instead
hear
of
it,
us talking about how well the Raptors did and how they climbed back and overcame the obstacle that was the Eastern Conference, which was a very fun Eastern Conference playoffs for us to watch this season. Like, instead
it
of us
was.
talking about that, talking about how Kawhi Leonard was able to adjust his game despite the fact that he has an injured quad and an injured knee on both legs, an injured quad on one leg, an injured knee on the other leg, and overcome to help the defensive efficiency of the Raptors team to conquer Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks to make it to the NBA. We're not even talking about this.
Mm-mm.
Like, we're not talking about how he was able to, victimize Joel Embiid, make him walk up the court crying like a little baby. That's the word I'm looking for, baby.
Baby. Yes, you
You
were really
know,
close there. I didn't know where you were going with that B word.
but
I
like,
was
instead
kind
of
of
us talking
concerned.
about that, talking about the journey.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about, oh, well, Kawhi Leonard is the next Michael Jordan.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Michael
Don't forget
Jeffrey
that
Jordan.
part.
First of all, that's
Yeah.
disrespectful to Kobe Bryant. Jalen Rose said it best today. Disrespectful to Kobe Bryant. And anyone who keeps making these comparisons don't know basketball. And if they do know basketball, they should be ashamed of themselves and they should know better. And we need to stop.
Well,
And the other thing, too, is, and I hate to interrupt you, but we got to stop making all these comparisons between these players from the past to the present. Like, allow them to build their own legacy because you keep putting them up on these little pedestals, and
hmm
now everyone's expecting them to be like Mike. Yes,
well,
yes, I
yeah.
want to be like Mike. Yes, yes, we know the commercial.
I
But
can't
like,
believe they're in.
don't put everyone on these, pedestals that they need to try to reach. Because if they don't reach it, or they fall from grace, and we've seen this with a lot of stars, former stars,
Absolutely.
where oh
Absolutely.
well, he's gonna be the next blah blah blah. He's gonna be the next Michael Jordan, and then he became just a.
Another victim.
I was gonna say that, but I was gonna say just another role player.
Oh,
You know who I'm talking about. There's been plenty of people been called the next Michael Jordan.
true.
Like,
I
let's
mean,
stop. Let's stop with these comparisons.
of course, I said it jokingly, of course, but I think that ultimately it's one of them situations where we have to really look at kind of how everything is starting to play out. And I'll be the first to say, like, he looks really good. I mean, we're talking about it. When we do our year in review, and you want to talk about somebody absolutely potentially putting their foot somewhat in their mouth, not completely in, but
Hmm.
I mean, I'm tasting a little bit of my own foot when I asked the question if Kawhi was still any good after taking a year off, which was I think a pretty valid
It
question.
was a valid question. Like, well,
Uh,
see, that's a valid question compared to, you know, is Kawhi's career done? Because we heard people say that when he was coming back. Will
no,
Kawhi not be as productive anymore because he's no longer underneath Greg Popovich's system?
and that's pretty rough. I don't think I would have ever said anything
Because
like
remember,
that, but
though, that was the major gripe about Kawhi Leonard. When it came to MVP conversations, when it came to whether or not he was the best player in the NBA right now, was because he was part of Popovich's system.
and I don't think that's the case because I mean, well, now we know that's not the case. See, he's
Now,
not a he.
but
Here's a guy,
I've been saying that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, in fact,
but see, here's a
and that was the
guy.
main argument that people kept telling us On this show, in
Wait.
fact.
No, no, no. But here's a guy
Here's a
in
guy.
in Kawhi Leonard who, unlike,
Uh oh. Uh oh.
hmm,
You about to drop some truth bombs on you folks.
I'm trying to be
Tell them.
as controversial as possible. Let's say that Steph Curry and Klay Thompson never became the Splash Brothers.
Okay. So Steph Curry
They
become a
never.
Knickerbocker?
Let's say Steph did go to the Knicks in that draft that everybody wanted him to,
Which
and
now,
he
once
does
again, looking back, I'm totally fine with the way things are because Steph Curry would become another person who Steph Curry would have been, you know, what Jimmy Fredette was.
exactly my point. Exactly what I'm about to say here because Steph needed that moment with Mark Jackson,
Yes.
then to go to Steve Kerr in order to get to this point where he is now. Where if he had gone to any other team, he might not have been as effective. Some people, of course, may argue that, but that could potentially be fact.
Well,
Um,
and I know why they argue with that. And I don't know if you saw the video that I posted, and I want to say it was Hoop Pipes again,
mhm.
or it might be Swish Out. It might be Swish Out, in fact. But it was talking about the analysis of why Mark Jackson is no longer a head coach of the NBA. And one of the things that he was talking about in the video was Mark Jackson wanted Steph Curry to be a traditional point guard because that was the way that Mark Jackson played.
Gotcha.
But that helped in the development of Steph Curry. Steph Curry, who came into the league as a shooter,
Right.
learned how to become a pure point guard. But
Right.
when the reins went from
Mm.
Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr, Steph Curry could be a shooter again. And, the Steph Curry we see today is, a result of the initial onslaught of Mark Jackson and the finishing touch up of Steve Kerr.
Right. And that's the whole point. I don't really think that Popovich's system had anything to do with Kawhi's rise or continued play. I think that it's one of them situations where if Kawhi stayed in San Antonio, I don't think personally that San Antonio would have gotten this far.
No.
I like LaMarcus Aldridge. I like some of these other guys, but I just don't think they're the team that's really gonna get you to where you're looking to go.
I I can understand where you're coming from with that. I feel like people use the Popovich excuse as a crutch.
Mm-hmm.
And here's my theory about this. Bear with me for a moment. I feel
Please.
like that people were afraid to acknowledge that LeBron James has been surpassed by two players,
Hmm.
Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard. They was able, and here's why. This is for anyone who likes basketball who still believe that LeBron James is the best player in the world. Kevin Durant surpassed LeBron James after the sweep last year. Some may even say it happened after the first championship that KD got with the Warriors
Mm-hmm.
because of what he did. With Kawhi, people kept saying, well, LeBron is the greatest of all time, blah, 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 blah. But once again, my main argument with that was how many, defensive teams did LeBron make in his career?
True.
Versus someone like Kawhi, who is still getting into his prime.
Right.
And every single year, he's getting better and better and better.
And I
when
think
when when
that's
when
to
when
me
Kawhi Leonard
right
like
there
this
is
was the
where it
point
gets kind
when
of
you
like
knew that it was about to be a changing of the guard. For Jordan, it was when he defeated the Magic Johnson led Lakers in the finals. That was the passing of the guard right there.
gotcha.
For
So I
LeBron,
mean
it was when
now.
It was when the Heatles got destroyed in the 2014 finals.
Now, with you saying that, I mean, that kind of puts us right back to potentially opening up a Kawhi, Michael, Jeffrey, Jordan comparison. If Kawhi beats the
I'm
Golden
just
State
hold on. I'm gonna let
Warriors,
you. I'm gonna let you say this. I'm gonna let you say what you're saying right now. All I'm saying, what I just got finished saying, the last
uh,
rhetoric that I just stated. All I'm talking about
yes,
is passing of the guards. That's all I'm
right.
talking about. That's it.
And I'm gonna tell you, if he does a passing of the guards on the Warriors,
Hmm.
you will see more pictures of Kawhi and Michael Jordan than Jordan and Kobe ever.
Because people need something to talk about. That's why.
I mean, isn't that the name of the movie?
I
Let's
see.
give
If we
them
want to say,
something
if
to
we want to,
talk about.
say things and have a hot take, you heard me say it before. I'll say this live on air right now. If the Raptors beat the Warriors to get their first NBA championship, that
Drake
title
dancing.
will be better than the one that LeBron James and the Cavaliers won against the 73 win team.
Oh, there's no question about that. Because I think this team, even though it's pretty much made up of I guess similar players, some of the most of the same players, I would say that they're more mature.
They're very mature.
They're a pretty solid team. I mean, let's just be
I think
honest.
the
They're a
problem
pretty solid
is,
team.
even if the Raptors win, they're going to put
Hmm.
so many asterisks, just like the same way they did with the 73 win team when they lost in game 7. They're going to put so many asterisks next to that title.
Mm.
I already said before, like, that finals was. The fix was in. Like, there was some pretty big fixing happening there.
Yeah.
And there's been many, basketball enthusiasts who has concrete evidence to show that there's been many calls that were made to favor the Cavaliers that year. But we're
I
not going to
can.
get into that. That was 3 years ago. I don't care about 3 years ago. Let's talk about this year. Let's talk about these finals right here. Forget
So
about all these stupid little free agency talks and crap like that. Ladies and
right.
gentlemen, Professor John Gotti and Doc Lesnar want you to know that we're here to talk about the NBA Finals. After
That's
the
right.
NBA Finals is over, then we can talk about free agency. And then we can talk about
You
max
know,
contracts. Then we can talk about
anything we
supermax contracts. But until then, how about let's give respect to these players who have played over 82 games in the regular season, over 20 games for some of them in the playoffs so far, to make it to this point. Let's give them that respect. How about we do that
yeah.
for once?
Can we? Can we do that?
Absolutely, we can. But the
Oh,
media and the casual fan base won't let that happen.
just to make sure we could do that. I didn't. I don't know if we. I didn't know if we could do that or not.
Oh, we could do whatever we want. This is debate amongst friends. This isn't
This
first
is
take.
debate amongst friends. This
This
isn't
is
first
this isn't
take.
first take. This is undisputed. You're not Shannon Sharp. I am not Skip Bayless. I am no one who is sitting there sucking on his thumb because Kawhi Leonard shut him the bleep up.
I mean, what did he shut him up about? I mean, tell the people, what did he shut him up about?
Everything. Everything. Just throwing shade at Kawhi Leonard all through these playoffs. Talking
Hmm.
about how number two, he tends to shy away from these moments. How number two chokes under pressure. How number two isn't efficient. Well, Kawhi Leonard's in the finals.
Right.
You
And
don't
their
get
players
much
are
better
not.
than that. You don't get much better than that, ladies and gentlemen. But that's enough me getting out of my rant. Because that was just something that I've been
Right.
feeling even before the playoffs started. That these teams who have worked so hard to get to this point deserved more coverage and more respect from the ESPNs and the Fox One Sports of the world. Instead of y'all talking about the god dang Los Angeles mother blipping Lakers and the New Orleans flipping Pelicans and how the Lakers need to get AD. Let's talk about that after the 16th of June, ladies and gentlemen. How about that?
How about that for a first take?
Take that for data.
I can understand that. I think ultimately it's one of those situations where we're at the finals, and like I said, I mean, for me, my gripe is with any of those teams you mentioned, it was a team that obviously came the closest to beating the Warriors, which is the Rockets. But
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm going to save that for my final thought.
Absolutely.
We got here because the Warriors dismantled the Trailblazers,
It was pretty
and
bad.
Kawhi, Michael, Jeffrey,
No, no, no.
Jordan.
Let's not. No, that's enough trolling about that. Let's just call him Kawhi Leonard, please.
No, 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 I'm serious. Michael, Jeffrey,
No,
Jordan.
no, no, no. Please don't turn into Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman on me, please. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm not trying to do
Don't
that,
do
but
that.
I'm just saying
Okay, I
he's
mean, I
very
mean,
close.
now, I'm gonna expect you to have a hairline that's halfway up your head,
Oh
and
God,
keep
not a
saying
receding
blasphemous
hairline.
and unmitigated goals all the time, and
Oh my
saying put the camera on
God, the
me. Like, we
blasphemy,
really don't
blasphemy,
need this. Like, be
blasphemy.
a podcasting beast.
Wow.
Don't steal off of other people's plates. That is ungrateful for the plates that they're given.
Well, honestly, we were. I mean,
And yes,
I
ladies and
actually
gentlemen, that
was.
was shade thrown at both Max Kellerman, Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, and Shannon Sharp. Get at me.
What I'll say is that I was honestly thinking that he was playing like Michael Jordan before they
Yes,
started really talking about it. But I mean, I can understand what everybody's saying, but I mean, the guy is playing pretty lights out, and I'm really feeling it. I'm gonna say Kawhi, MJ, Leonard,
I can't believe you're
um,
whispering now. I can't believe you're doing this to me.
and
Like, we're about to shut down the
kind
show right now. Like,
of. You can't do that. You just got to let it go and just let it roll.
but
But
yes,
ultimately, when it comes down to it, Kawhi Leonard and the Toronto Raptors are going against, we're going against an MVP candidate in Giannis, which I expected the Bucks to come out and at least get to a game 7. However, they failed to do so.
they failed. I
But
mean,
mostly,
it was
it
a huge breakdown.
it
Like, it
was.
exposed a lot of things. And we're not saying that Giannis is trash or anything like that. So people
No,
who want
we're
to
not
sit
doing
there and
that.
take our stuff and take it out of context, don't do it. Just
We're
stop.
not. Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're
Giannis is
not here
gonna
to do
come
that.
back next year stronger, faster, and more hungrier.
I agree.
It's gonna be
And I
ridiculous.
and honestly, I believe wholeheartedly that I think they're going to pick up somebody big. And I said it last year when we were talking about the whole Anthony Davis thing. If Anthony Davis was able to get to Milwaukee, or if Kawhi, if they lose here in Toronto and he decides to leave and he says, you know what, I'm going to go to a lower market team or stay in a lower market, and I'm
Hmm.
going to go to Milwaukee to play with Giannis because I respect his game. I would be happy with that. I would be extremely happy
I
with
wouldn't
that.
even be upset about that.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet.
We know
The
certain people would
likely,
be upset about that, but once
of
again,
course,
favoritism is a mofo.
of course, of course. But I just really believe that it would be awesome to see those two kind of play together.
I agree.
I think it would be pretty awesome. But I think Giannis, he did everything he could. I mean, he
He
was out
did.
there. He was really, really playing hard and
Once
really just going out
once
there and
again, the
balling.
the, the first two games had
Hmm.
everyone talking sweep, sweep,
Right,
sweep,
right.
sweep. Get out your brooms. Get your popcorn
Mm-mm.
ready.
Never.
Giannis
Not
versus
here.
the Warriors and all this other stuff. But it's a
Not here
seven
on this
game
show.
series.
Hmm.
It's 7 games. It's not
Yeah,
best 2 out of 3. We're
right,
not playing a round robin of Street Fighter 5 or
right,
Mortal Kombat 11. Like, it's not best of 3.
right.
It's a best of 7 series.
Without question.
And Giannis was dominating those first 2 games, but he ended the series shooting 44% for the field.
Hmm.
50% for free throws. Like we saw a mental breakdown. He didn't want to get to the line anymore. Like Coach Nick of Be Well Breakdown talked about this in detail.
Hmm.
Giannis didn't want to go back on the line at all. We
Wow.
people of the fighting community will say that Giannis was on tilt.
It's so tough.
I mean,
Again,
I mean, a podcasting beast may even say that he had a very punk-esque meltdown
punk-esque meltdown. You're finally getting it.
because I know that's what you was thought when you saw his stats go from I think he was like 30 something points a game down to 22 points a game.
Well, again, my thing is you're playing against one of the best defenders. And that's the thing about Kawhi. It's like and that's where it's like, yes, they're comparing him to Michael, but he's like Michael, Pippen, and a little bit of Rodman all balled into one. He's not out here
Uh,
throwing
uh,
he rebounds like he's a good rebounder.
Jordan Pitt both good rebounders too.
That's why I said a little bit of
I mean, I
Rodman,
think
not a
if
whole
people would have said
bunch.
if he was more like a young Jordan, Jordan who started to really develop that jump shot, Jordan, not slam dunk champion Jordan, but like right before he got that first championship Jordan, then I wouldn't
I
have a
think he's
problem with
beyond.
that. But
I
I
think
feel
he's
like the
beyond
fact that
that
the fact that so what he's
because he
the
is dunking on
first
he is
first
because he is
three-peat
dunking on people.
first three-peat
Yeah,
Jordan.
first three
Okay,
P
okay.
Jordan.
Then if they would
Yeah,
have said it like that, I wouldn't have an issue with that. But no one goes into details about these things.
they just say Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
They just say Michael Jeffrey Jordan. So once you put that name out there and you don't add no context behind it, people are taking the whole body of work. They're taking all six championship rings.
Yep.
Which is why I kept telling people that you shouldn't do that with LeBron James because yeah, he got to all those finals, but how many chips did he get for that?
Right. So let's
Like
talk
that's
about
why you
this
don't make
series.
those comparisons. Like it's asinine. I don't want to say it's stupid because there are some very very smart people who make these claims, but it's asinine to make these claims because you provide no context with it. Which is
Absolutely.
why people get into these huge heated debates about these things. But if you add context behind it, like that podcasting beach just did, by saying that it's Jordan during the first three-peat, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I mean, let's talk about this series now.
Let's talk about this series.
I mean, who you got, sir? Let's just start with who you got first.
Well, let's do that last. Let's talk about X factors first. Like we do every single finals, we talk about the different levels, and we talk about who has the competitive advantage coming into these finals. So let's start off with the coach. We got Nick Nurse, who's a journeyman as far as coaching. He coached in the D League. He coached out internationally as well too.
Mm-hmm.
Made it over here, following the former Raptors coach who just won Coach of the Year last year and got fired.
Right.
Did a heck
He
of
didn't
a
have
job with
Kawhi
that.
though.
Yeah, well, he didn't have Kawhi, but once again, this is why people don't add context to these things. All they said was Dwayne Casey was Coach of the Year, he got fired, and then in comes Nick Nurse, and now they're in the finals.
True. This
And on
team
the
is
other
different. I
side,
mean,
we
not only
have
and just before we move on from that point, there is a possibility that maybe he didn't want to get rid of, DeRozan and what was the other guy? Was it
and that is
Valanciunas?
possible. Yeah, Valachunas.
Yeah, maybe he didn't want to get rid of those guys, so it was like necessary for him to go just so that they can get rid of those people.
Yep. Which once
I mean,
again,
it's definitely
if that's the
possible.
case, then Masai Ujiri did a great job.
Absolutely.
You praise Daryl Morey so much. Like Masai Ujiri did a great job in the offseason. Took a great gamble and is paying off because his team is in their first NBA Finals.
Which is amazing. It's amazing. Is it something that, like I said, Chris Bosh couldn't do? We talked about McGrady and and Vince Carter and
Yep.
all those guys that were down there playing hard. Skip to my Lou was down there for a little bit, if I recall.
Well, Skip
Um,
Malou made it to the finals anyway. He did that with the Magic,
the Magic, which,
which screwed the Magic over
yeah,
because they benched him for what's his name, who came back from injury right before that Lakers series. Shoot, what was
they
his
been
name?
it was a Turk. Is what they were
No,
playing
no.
Turkaloo
Turkaloo was the three.
because I know he ran point for them quite often.
Hold on, we're gonna find that out real quick. I'll figure it out. Like it's gonna pop in my head too, and it's gonna be upsetting.
Is a point guard?
Yeah, Jameer Nelson.
Was it really?
Yep.
I didn't think he was in the league yet.
Yeah, he was in the league for a while there.
Mm.
Yeah, he was in the league around the time Marbury was.
Mm. Oh, yeah, I guess. Well, that's another thing. And Marbury is another, a whole other story. But
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think that this series is going to be a good one.
Hmm.
I think
Well,
that
we're supposed to talk about the Raptors. We're going to talk about the coach, but we'll talk
yeah,
about that part. Yeah.
we'll talk about the Raptors, but I think the series is going to be good. And I was about to get back to Nick Nurse, and really, it's going to come down to the coaching. I think that Steve Kerr's coaching ability and his Zen-like manners,
Zen like manners.
because obviously most of his coaching philosophy, from what I've seen, his thoughts and the way he carries himself are all Phil Jackson. He doesn't get too hot. He doesn't get too cold.
Hmm.
If they're losing, they're losing. If they're winning, I expect you to win. You know what I mean? It's working for them. But what
He
Nick,
does a great job of keeping everyone accountable for their own mistakes.
but what I see in Nick Nurse, obviously you got one of the top five players in the league now. We're gonna just say Kawhi's top five because of his defense alone.
Top three.
Uh, it's tough.
Once again,
It's
we're not going to get into that discussion because once
yeah,
again, people have issues and they want to put LeBron at number one, but whatever.
it's tough. I wouldn't even. We're not gonna get there. Yeah, we're not gonna go there. Um, yeah, we're not even gonna do that. I think that Nick Nurse has done an excellent job, and I thought Mike Budenholzer did an excellent job in the previous games. I just think that if it's going to come down to coaching, I would expect Kerr to outcoach Nick Nurse. If we're talking about coaching, I would expect Kerr to outcoach Nurse. That would
I
be my
will agree with that.
expectation. That would be my expectation. Will it actually happen that way? We don't know.
Who
We're going to
knows?
find out.
Any given game, anything can happen.
Yeah, we're going to find out. But the, let,
But
I feel,
so you're saying Steve Kerr gets the advantage for coaching?
yeah, Steve Kerr definitely gets the advantage for
I
coaching.
can't get mad at you. I'll say the same thing. He has the championship pedigree. It's hard to go against it.
Right.
It's
It is
simple
hard
as
to go
that.
against.
Like it's hard to go against it. We're not saying that
Yeah.
Nick Nurse is a terrible coach. We're just saying Steve Kerr's done it before. Simple as that.
Right.
Simple as that. All right. Next we have offense.
Starting lineup. Let's go starting lineup.
Okay, starting lineup.
So,
The starting lineup as it is right now.
right.
We need to say that part because people say, "Well, what about the Warriors? They got KD, they have Boogie. Obviously, they're the better." The starting lineup right now as we head into Game One tomorrow.
We have no idea who's playing for the Warriors, and
KD's not playing. He
yeah.
it was shown that he was jumping on the plane heading out to Toronto, still in the cast, limping. He's not
Mm,
playing. He ain't playing.
mm. You think he's gonna do his best to try and play, or
I think it depends on the situation. And unfortunately, he's currently in a lose lose situation in the eyes of the public court of opinion.
mm-hmm.
Because if they end up coming back to Oracle down 0-2, and he doesn't play, then he gets blamed if they lose.
Right.
If they get down 0-2 and then he plays like booty, then he's gonna get blamed because he
Right.
came back too early. Like you see where the pattern is going with this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's in a lose lose situation right now, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
And
It,
Jalen Rose talked about, like, once again, there's people that I can take stuff verbatim because they have that mental capacity to
hmm
not be stupid, and Jalen Rose is one of those people. Ryan Holland is not one of those people.
mm,
In fact, I don't even know why ESPN keep making him sit in front of a camera. Okay, he is the Mario Chalmers of
wow.
NBA sports analysis.
Chalmers.
But proceed, sir.
If it's Clay, Steph, Draymond, some kind of mix between, Iguodala or I don't even know who else they would throw in the court if
It might be
Durant's
Iggy.
not
It
playing.
might be Iggy.
And then I guess at center they would go with
Probably
what's
Bogut.
that? Because what's his name got hurt last series, didn't he? This
Who?
other center.
Kevon Looney?
Uh
No,
Looney. He didn't get
no,
hurt. I thought he hurt his ankle or something.
no.
Okay. So Bogut versus Gasol. Let's start there. Because I thought that Brooke Lopez was gonna give the Raptors everything he had
Yeah,
last
you was really
series,
high on him too.
and he had a heck of a game. I think it was
He
game
had a heck of a
two.
series.
Yeah, he was playing fantastic, and I think having somebody like Bogut is gonna be kind of better for the Raptors in this
Absolutely.
situation because they don't have to chase Bogut, Princess Peach himself, out to the 3-point line. I didn't forget about it.
So center positions for the starting lineup, we're gonna give it to the Raptors.
I'm going to give it to the Raptors because I feel like Kawhi is going to play one of the Splash Brothers. Then you're
I
going to have
I
you're going
have a differing opinion, but we'll continue with that.
okay. I think Kawhi is going to be on one of the Splash Brothers, and then I think Siakam is going to be on Draymond Green.
I
And then if
agree
you
there. Siakam will be
and
on Draymond Green.
and then there leaves Kyle Lowry, who could be cooked regardless. No matter what he does, he might get cooked out there. I would
Here's a
put I would
guy.
put I would put him on Clay before I put him on Steph.
I was gonna go there. Um, either see. Here's the thing. I believe that they're gonna have Kawhi Leonard defend against Andre Iguodala,
Hmm.
and here's
Interesting.
why. It'll allow him to be a roaming middle linebacker.
That's why I would have him on Draymond because you want Draymond to take the three. You want Draymond to take the three
No, no, because Draymond won't be taking threes. They're gonna have Draymond crash down or
and hurt
basically
inside.
drive the ball a lot more. But you don't want that. You want Siakam to handle that. Like Siakam and Draymond, I believe that's a wash. Like you leave
So
that
I don't know.
be, you hope for the best there. But you keep Kawhi on Iguodala, you keep him fresh, and he could play a lot of the passing lanes as well. You want Andre Iguodala to shoot more than Draymond.
I don't think Draymond's going to be able to drive like that. I'm just not buying it. Draymond, he can't. I'm just not buying it.
Well, once again, I mean, this is just us,
Of
speculating
course,
about who might be defending who. For all we
of
know, the
course.
doc could be completely right. I might be right. Who knows?
Right.
We will
Absolutely.
probably be wrong. They probably put, Kyle Lowry on Andrew Bogut for some reason.
Oh my God. We just hope that Kyle Lowry comes to play. That's the
Yes.
only thing I can ask for is that Kyle Lowry comes to play basketball and not give us that Orlando Magic run that he
Oh,
gave us.
um, no.
Yeah, that game. We don't want that. So I'm gonna give the starting lineup for right now to the Raptors.
Okay, I will agree with you.
Just for right now. Just for
I
right now.
I feel like as far as defense, they can do more. Like
Yeah,
they're much more active on defense.
absolutely. I agree. I
So
can
let's
agree with
talk
that.
bench.
So you got Danny Green, you got Van Vliet, who we're
Oh,
big
that's what it
on.
was. I think they're gonna have a Danny Green start, and he'll be defending against
Oh,
Curry.
interesting. Okay. So that will be interesting. Danny Green has championship pedigree,
And he's a great defender too.
great defender. He's cut from the somewhat of the Bruce Bowen cloth, which is interesting.
Poor Wally's world.
Hilarious.
How you gonna get kicked in the face with a flying kick, Wally?
So if they're gonna do that, then I definitely would give it to yeah, to the Raptors. But as far as the bench goes, you got Danny Green, you're gonna have Van Vliet. They have dang, they have somebody else out there.
Anobi, who is the
I
backup
know,
small
yes,
forward.
he is. He is good. And he can really play the three or the four. He can really play two through four
Yep.
if you really ask him to. So that's the one thing I like about
They
him.
also have Serge Ibaka.
True.
They do have a former Warrior, Patrick McCaw, who I think is actually out. Actually, both him and Anobi is out. Actually,
Oh, that's whack.
yeah, they're both out. But they
But
do
who's
have
on?
Jody Meeks, who is pretty much just the trash time
No,
guard, and Jeremy Lin, who made it
and
to
you
his first
never
NBA Finals.
and you never know. Linsani could come back in any at any time.
I got nothing. Like I said before, it's the finals. Either you come with your best, or you don't come at all.
Absolutely,
I mean, that's if the Rockets were in the NBA Finals, you'll say the exact same thing. Either you come with your best, or you don't come at all.
absolutely.
There
You're
is
absolutely
there
right.
is no tomorrow after the series.
You're right. But I mean, with two people out, two key contributors out from the bench, and I'm just trying to think of who the Warriors are bringing off their bench. If they're starting Iguodala, who I
Quinn
think is the
Cook, Sean Livingston.
Sean Livingston.
They actually
I
might
don't.
start Jordan Bell.
He hasn't done much this year. Usually in the playoffs, he steps up big time.
You know what the worst
You
part
know,
is?
he,
They have more big men. I'm looking at their roster right now. They have 5 centers on their roster.
I'm sure. I'm
Damian
sure.
Jones, Jordan Bell,
Mm,
DeMarcus Cousins, who's out, of course.
right. Right.
Kevon Looney and Andrew Bogut. That's crazy.
That is crazy. That's kind of how the Rockets used to be with the forwards. When we had those
Yeah,
forwards,
that's crazy.
but
5 centers.
But I feel like the Bulls had a lot of centers because they had Purdue, they had Winnington,
Mm-hmm.
they had not Kukoc,
No,
Longley.
Kukoc was not
Yeah,
a
I guess what I
center.
said, not Kukoc, Longley. I feel like they had like another center. They had a pretty good amount of centers for a team that didn't really focus on centers.
Yes,
And this is also a team that doesn't focus on centers. But
but
they
but
usually keep a whole heap
that's
of.
pretty much their bench. Jonas Jerebko, who could play the 4 or the 5.
Oh yeah, he can. I forgot about him. That's a lot of forwards and that's a lot of bigs.
Yeah,
He's another
yeah.
guy. So he's a guy that I would watch out for because he can actually play he can play the mm, he can play the five. So they might not even start Bogut.
They're not going to start Jerebko. They're not going to start Jerebko. Like
I
I
wouldn't
said,
be
you're going to put
surprised.
Jordan Bell, Kevon Looney, or Andrew Bogut.
Bogut's been a bum. I would go Drakepo.
They just they
Only because he can shoot the three. If Drakepo couldn't shoot the three, then I would be like, okay, forget it. But
I mean, he's
I
shooting
mean, he can.
a fair 36%.
Hmm,
I mean, I don't know.
I got you.
I don't know. The team is 2.6 points better with him on the floor than without him on the floor. So that's
Um,
based off of 100 plays, of course. So I
gotcha,
mean, we could take that however we want.
gotcha.
And of course, he's most effective as the four.
Now, Sean Livingston hasn't been as effective this year, of course, compared to other years as well.
Sean Livingston's
But
getting older. Like this is an older team.
yeah, yeah, they are getting. He's getting older. I mean, but this is the finals. It's definitely going to be different. Um, we can't expect, how we saw them play the last two series. We can't expect them to be the same
No.
way.
Yeah, because
So,
there's reports about, of course, speculation, but they're talking about him deciding if he wants to retire after this season.
hmm, that'll be interesting.
The worst part is he's our age,
Right. Who was I
technically
just
your
talking?
age, because he's born in
My age,
'85.
right? Yeah. Who I forget who I was just talking to. And they were, and I think I was listening to something. They were like, "Oh, he's just 33," and I was just like, "Dang, he's
Yeah,
33. I'm
yeah,
33," and I'm just like, "Wow, that's crazy."
yeah. I'm starting to feel the effects now of the 30s.
Right.
Anywho, so who you got for the bench, sir?
You know, I'm gonna give it to the Warriors.
That is fair. I once again, there is really no wrong answer here, because
Yeah.
there's arguments for both sides.
It really just depends on how they're being utilized. I mean, because ultimately, if Kerr makes one move and anybody can be moved at any point, because maybe Sean Livingston's hot and Clay's not, or
Yep.
anything could happen.
Anything, any given game, anything can happen.
Right. So, I mean, we're definitely going to see what happens, but
But
I'll give it to the Warriors.
I'm gonna give it to the Raptors.
Yeah, I can understand that. Only because of those two injuries. If those two guys weren't hurt, I don't know what Jody Meeks we're going to get. I don't know. If Danny
He
Green,
doesn't play. He doesn't play a lot. That's why I say he's trash time.
but you said Mwaba is hurt too, and I feel like he was a pretty big contributor.
Yes. Yeah,
So they
he contributed. How many points a game did he contribute? Like 7 points a game. So, but
his
Jeremy Lin's
defense
contributing
though.
the same amount too. So
See, now you were saying we were relying heavily on Jeremy Lin, and I'd be like, you're crazy.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. But let's talk X factors though. Let's someone who probably either come off the bench or people not really talking about who can have a big factor on this game. Who are the X factors of this series? One for each side, sir. Who do you got?
Number one, you said people aren't talking about.
People are not talking about them. So we're talking about non-star players who can have a whose play can have a factor in tipping the scales for their team to win.
I'm actually just gonna stick with the backup point guards. I think it's gonna be Van Fleet and um, what's his? You said is it Quinn?
So about Quinn Cook?
Yeah, Quinn Cook. I think yeah, Quinn Cook and Van Vliet. I think that would be the difference maker because Quinn Cook actually comes off the bench and sometimes gives them energy
Yes.
when they're lacking energy, which is the role really that Livingston kind of used to give them. So, I mean, if he is able to shoot well, because he has always been a pretty solid shooter, even coming out of college.
Yep.
I mean, I think those are two be the two guys that you would watch if we're talking about backup X factors. Starting X factors is going to come down to Siakam and I think Draymond Green, of course.
I feel like you was real heavy dookie with your Quinn Cook choice, but I can understand
Uh,
why you did that anyway. I
Wow.
agree with you with Fred Van Fleet and Siakam. I feel like
Wow.
if
Heavy
they both
duties.
come out to play, I mean, let's get. I've been huge on Fred Van Fleet. It's been on record. Like I feel like if he could shoot as good as he's been shooting in the last series, oh, absolutely, it's gonna cause problems. And if Siakam
Uh,
shoots the ball well and shoots it with confidence too, I mean, the sky's
uh-huh.
the limit. For the Warriors, I'm gonna say my X factors are gonna be Klay Thompson
Mm-hmm.
because we need him. We need to find out if he is going to shoot with a chip on his shoulder after missing out on $33 million.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part.
Because I would say that is a. I mean, of course, people are talking about it, but this is one that I agree that they should talk about. You know, which Klay Thompson are we gonna get? Are we gonna get the Klay Thompson that's gonna shoot with a vengeance? You know, shoot the ball like he's Russell Westbrook, but can actually shoot the J. You
Right.
know, and just want to make everyone the in the North, cry manly tears of sorrows, or are we gonna get the Klay Thompson who goes into really terrible shooting slumps and get
Mm,
himself into foul trouble, which goes to my
right.
other X factor, and that's the point guard play for the Warriors. Can Steph Curry not get into foul trouble every single game? Because that was an issue in the Clippers series.
I really worry more about Kyle Lowry.
I I can agree with that. I feel like they have a real solid backup point guard though, but I feel like Kyle Lowry is going to head into this series as aggressive as he did since Game 3 to Game 6 for the Buck series. He's going to
Uh-huh.
attack he's going to attack the basket. He's going to try to get to the line as much as possible, and
Makes
he's going
sense.
to try to get Steph Curry into foul trouble. If not him, it's Klay Thompson. Like it's going to be ridiculous, and I like it because that's what Nick Nurse wants him to do, and he's always going to make the right decisions. You know, people say, well, Kyle Lowry doesn't shoot well in the playoffs, but he still makes the right decisions. He just the ball just doesn't go to the basket. That's the issue.
Hey, I, I'm interested to see how Kyle does. I mean, this is his first trip. Obviously, he's had some struggles. We've noted that.
Of
So
course,
ultimately, he could be the ultimate factor. If he can he play
absolutely.
defense on Steph Curry? If he's on Steph Curry, he might be that guy that they try and get the switch. 'Cause, that's what NBA is all about these
Hmm.
days, getting the switch,
Getting
which is
those
ultimately
favorable matchups.
right. Which is also why I was saying if you were to put I'm trying to think about this. Really, they're probably going to attack Lowry and Gasol.
Yep.
So it's a possibility that they might have to rely heavily on um, what's his name?
What's his name?
Dang, I can't believe I can't think of his name right now. Um,
Ibaka.
Ibaka. That's exactly who I'm thinking. Ibaka. They might have to bring Ibaka in, to replace Gasol.
That's possible. That is possible. And of course, Chris Boucher will have some really good minutes as well too. I mean, anything can happen, ladies and gentlemen. It really can.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to it though. It's going to be a good finals. Hopefully, the Raptors don't get so hyped in the is Kawhi leaving train.
They're not even, and that's just the thing. That's the media doing that. The Raptors
Yeah,
are not thinking about that. The
you
Raptors,
never know.
their mentality, and given all the things that I've been watching with these interviews, especially during media day, I didn't know if you had a chance to watch the media day today or not. But
No.
their mentality is we need to win. Like our focus is on winning. Everything else, all that other hoopla about Kawhi leaving or not, we only want to care about that after this series is over. As of right now, we're one cohesive unit, and we need to try to defeat the juggernaut that is the Golden State Warriors. That's pretty much, and
Right.
I'm paraphrasing the point, but that's their mentality. That's what I got from all of their responses. Is that they're trying to win. Even Kawhi Leonard said the same thing. And this was going to be one of my final thoughts because I really liked this interview because people kept trying to make the comparisons and trying to get him to say that he's the best player in the NBA, really baiting. And he's like, I don't care
Wow.
about all that. I just want to win. I just want to win the championship. Now,
Right.
those are the things that you want people to say heading into the finals. But all these stupid hot takes, you know, causes these distractions. It's only become a distraction if that's the only thing people are talking about.
True. I mean, we're definitely going to see. I'm definitely looking forward to this matchup. I mean, I don't really know what other factors could come to play outside of that.
No, I
Obviously,
think I think I
the
think I think it's definitely time for those final predictions, though. I think we could do that.
game one or the whole finals.
Let's do game one. Well,
Game one,
let's do game one, and then we'll do who's gonna win the series. Because by the time we come back, I believe it should be
two
game
games.
three.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Warriors. I think game one, they've had plenty of time to rest.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm interested to see, how things go, but I'm gonna go with the Warriors.
I can understand
Yeah,
that. They had 9 days of rest. Of course,
yeah.
there's been reports about Boogie Cousins possibly coming back during these series.
I
Really
hope he
didn't hear
doesn't.
anything more about Kevin Durant, but
Yeah.
the people who were nicked, as you was talking about, Sean Livingston's gonna come back, who can definitely help contribute, especially on the road where you know usually either Steph or Clay tends to be lacking, so they usually try to lean on their bench a little bit. So I can understand why you say that. I'm gonna say the Raptors. They're riding the high of defeating a top candidate for the league regular season MVP, neutralized him and his team,
Not
and beat the
neutralized.
team 4 games straight. I feel like they're gonna ride that wave into game one and get this victory. I feel like they're gonna defend the North and their home court.
I can understand your point. I just think that it's not happening. The Warriors, they're juggernauts for a reason. They're the juggernaut, baby.
Wow.
Since we threw that B out there before, the juggernaut.
We're the Juggernaut, baby!
Juggernaut, baby. But speaking of neutralizing, I mean, shout out to Team Neutralize. Just a quick plug here, Gaming Amongst Friends. Make sure you tune into our stream on YouTube when we go live, and then you have the Professor John Gotti, who also goes live every Thursday, give you the retro gaming that
Absolutely.
you loved, and will continue to love going into the future. And also catch Marking Out Amongst Friends every Thursday. Hopefully, Lady T and Jay Riddy go over AE double because they went double or nothing, leaving it all on the table.
Oh,
As
they
well as some
will.
other,
They will.
yes,
They will.
as well as
Especially after the post that we put out today about the John
uh,
Moxley
John
Talk is
Moxley.
Jericho interview.
And I don't know if they listen to the whole thing. I hope they get a chance to. But when he said
No, no,
my
no, 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 no
character,
spoilers on that.
no,
We don't
no,
want to play
I'm
any
just gonna
spoilers
give
because
this is
because we
this
need we
this
need
is
people
not a
to start
spoiler.
listening and reading.
This is not a spoiler. It's really just something. It's a nugget that if you didn't, this is a nugget that you can miss. When he said he mixed his character with John McClane,
Mm-hmm.
I almost lost it. And that's what I'm saying. And this is why it's like important to listen to the whole thing.
Absolutely.
You challenged us. A lot of people said challenge accepted. For the first time in God knows how
A
long
long
we
time because otherwise people
yeah.
would just reply back saying, "So what's it about?" Like, no, 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 no. The thing is with us. business amongst friends, like you won't be able to fully fathom what's going on if you just take our word of mouth, because we can manipulate things to make things sound, the way that they shouldn't sound, and we can make things completely out of context and all this other stuff. So now you're reacting based off what we say, and you're thinking that's all that's written in, the book, or
Right.
said in the interview. Whereas if you listen to it yourself or read the book yourself and then come up with your own
Mm-hmm.
opinion,
Mm-hmm.
you could come up with much better valid arguments. Which we had some really great, discussions, out there marking out amongst friends today
Right.
about the interview. A lot of the things that, we both was talking about, and a lot of things that I was saying for a long time, you know,
Mm-hmm.
came into light,
Right.
which I'm happy about, and hopefully it can help open people's eyes. But the fact of the matter is, people are still consumed by the machine that's the WWE, and it's only gonna get worse if they remain to be blinded by what AEW is truly trying to do, and what a lot of these true wrestling aficionados are trying to convey to the masses. Yes, I
Mm.
understand that you shouldn't listen to dirt sheets all the time, and what they're saying isn't, shouldn't be facts of life, but
Right.
it's a subjective opinion that should lead to you to go, well, they're saying this. Let me think about what they're saying. Let me find if there's a true source about what's happening. Let me come up with my own opinion. And I think that's something that Doc and I always talk about with today's society, where no one wants to come up with their own opinions about things. People just want other people to say things, and then based off of that opinion, not facts, not truths, opinions, you know, then regurgitate that out as facts, and then get into arguments about just facts. And it doesn't matter if you're actually correct. Those,
Right.
people who just refuse, or stubborn as a mule is usually the turn of phrase,
Mm-hmm.
to come up with their own opinions. Like that's what we had all these LeBron maniacs keep saying, well, no, LeBron's the greatest, blah 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 blah, and he keeps talking about, oh well, he scored, he averages 27 points a game, but he's still the greatest in the world. What does that mean? That means nothing.
Right.
Well, they was fourth in the East before they fell out of the playoffs. What does that mean? How many, like, do you know how many people averaged over 20, over 25 in the season and still didn't make the playoffs?
True.
Stop it.
Yeah.
But
I
that's what we
mean,
want to do, and that's what we hope will happen with the marks, with this Talk is Jericho. Which we should probably plug Talk is Jericho actually, but we'll probably wait for the marks to do that actually.
absolutely.
But
And
but
they
that's something
might.
that's something that we continually try to challenge people to do. If we have a legit source, we're gonna put it out there for people to read or listen to.
Facts.
We're not going to tell you everything, because it's easy for us to give you a paraphrase, synopsis of what's going on. But that's all you're going to base it off of. How many times have you, had have you read comments for an article, but the only thing that people read was the headline?
Of course.
Or you see people like things on your social media, but they didn't really convey what's fully happening right there. They're scroll clicking.
It
So
happens to the best of us. I can't even lie. I can't even lie. Uh, it really does. It's you can get caught out there like that. Honestly, there's no question about
Oh,
it.
and there's nothing wrong with that, but
Yeah.
if you're gonna start talking about things that you don't know about, then
Right.
pardon my French, but you look like an idiot.
I mean, I don't know about an idiot, but
I mean, it is talk is Jericho, so I don't know. That might be a term of endearment.
you stupid idiot. Yeah, you're
Exactly.
right.
But that's just one of the things that we try to do, is we really want y'all to come up with your own opinions and just have friendly debates with us about things. Like, we're not trying to attack, your personal life, or, talk about parents, dead or
Right.
alive,
Yeah.
anything like
We're
that.
not
Like,
doing that.
if you have a valid argument, let's hear about it. We can be conveyed based on other people's art. We have that happen on this show where people
I feel
can
like
give
most
us
people
legitimate arguments, and we're like, okay, we understand what you're talking about now. We didn't think about it that way. We didn't. Our mindset wasn't going down that particular avenue. But thank you very much for opening up our eyes.
I don't feel like most people we don't I don't feel like we've really shut down anybody from giving their feedback or
No, Pete.
from like yeah, I don't feel like we've shut down anybody. Their feedback, their opinion. I don't think that we've shut anybody down. We're not talking about anybody's mother on Debate Amongst Friends
No,
or
but what
like
I'm
calling
saying is
anybody stupid or
like,
anything.
but what I'm saying is that's how it starts. Like we start having discussions about things, and then suddenly it's like, well, your mother kicked rocks. Where does that come from? Who says something like that?
Well, and I think that's why a lot of people go with the popular opinion so they don't have to deal with that so much.
It's
But you don't get
ridiculous.
that here.
No,
We don't do that.
no, we don't do that. We don't. And if
I
we
was
do, call us on it. Like we implore you, call us on it if we're really trying to attack people. And yes, I attack people for ESPN, but that's because they're trying to do a job based on what the corporate execs want you to do, and that's to be a personality and not necessarily talk about facts.
and and as I stated to you earlier, when I was in physical therapy yesterday, I had a conversation, and we understand that emotions get caught.
Oh,
People get caught up in emotions.
oh, Stephen A. Smith and all of his stupid New York Knicks
You
stuff.
people get caught up in emotions, and I think that kind of brings down the logic. Like I'll always say, I believe that the Bucks are going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, obviously that's an emotional statement, in which I hope comes true. But a lot of times you don't see everything that's happening,
Yes, because you
But
because you could
now
say
here's what I
that, but
will
then
say.
but then in reality, you're like, yes, the Bucks is maybe 2 to 3 years away from really becoming legit contenders, depending on what kind of moves that they decide to do.
But here's what I will say. Speaking on behalf of what you're saying, as far as people going with the narratives, everybody's narrative is Jameis has to go. From and you're looking from the outside in, and you just look at the stats. Jameis has to go.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like you said, the Knicks aren't a bad team. They're just playing right now the way they were trying to get the number one pick. So they could have won a lot of those games. They just were choosing not to.
Absolutely.
When you're looking at it, it looks like, hey, Jameis is terrible. He's a terrible quarterback. But you're not watching the games. You're just going based on the stats. You're going
Exactly.
based on what, whoever on ESPN, like you're saying, and most of the time it's not true.
Nope.
It's just absolutely not true because again, there are certain players like if you just looked at what people put James Harden travels every play. He dribbles, he travels. You know, LeBron's the best defensive player ever played the game.
I'm sorry, that just made me crack up when you said that.
Because all they show is his blocks and stuff. He's the greatest defender of all time. But that's my point. That's your point, and I'm just kind of driving your point home because it is huge. People need to stop carrying their own. People do need to start carrying their own opinion
Yes.
and driving that opinion home and stop believing the hype,
Or the
bro,
lack of hype.
bro.
Like sometimes the fire is really just a piece of ember.
Right, absolutely,
Like nothing's gonna happen to it, but if you keep blowing at it, while it's in the leaves, of course it's gonna make fire.
without question, without question. But I think we burned through this episode pretty crazy. That's a crazy hour.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's
Crazy hour.
like this is the thing that I really enjoy doing. Doing these type of analysis, like, and of course we can get into more details, talk about some of the sets that they enjoy doing because I really love analyzing plays.
Sure.
Like I love doing that part.
Kind of like B-ball breakdown does some of those things.
Exactly. Like like watching how many times the Warriors run horns is ridiculous. Like the percentage of the time they
Mm,
do that is so much fun. And maybe that'll be something else that maybe we'll explore trying to do. Because I know that
yeah,
podcasting beast over there is a guru when it comes to breaking down football plays as well too.
I think if Dell would love to send me a new computer.
You oh my gosh, I can't believe he's doing this right now.
I mean, I think we can
I mean,
make this happen.
I feel like that's more of a tweet thing than saying on a show thing.
I mean, I would hope that they would have one of those algorithms where somebody says their title that they just kind of come out of
No,
nowhere.
no, it's not that advanced yet. It's not advanced. That's it's not that advanced yet. IBM is one thing. Dell, no.
Gotcha. I gotcha. But we're at this part of the show where, to me, it sounds like we're at the final thought.
We are, and every single week we try to provide you with something for you to think about the rest of the week. Something that we didn't really talk about during the show, but we felt like it was important enough for us to talk about at the end of the show. And like always, we're gonna start off with that podcasting beast who doesn't need a foam title. He is the people's champ, Doc Lester.
Well, I'm keeping it pretty light today. It was kind of a shocker, but I understood his decision as the number 5 recruit in the nation. R.J. Hampton decided to forego
Mm-hmm.
his college decision to play most likely for one of the top 5 teams. And he decided to go and sign a pro contract with the New Zealand Breakers, which is of course, Australia-based team.
Yep.
He quoted stating here, "My dream has always been to get to the next level and play in the NBA, not to play college basketball," which some people really have been looking forward to playing college basketball. I mean, there's no question about it. Some people really, really love college basketball. I mean, there's really nothing you can really say about that.
No, I mean, and I even said this too on the social media when you posted it out there. I am so happy about this, like because there's been so many arguments about whether or not people should get paid.
Right.
Um, college players should get paid or not. That's been going back and forth. But like, this is a new avenue for people to start looking at instead of going to the G League because you can
Right.
go overseas and play and get paid a lot more compared to the G League, and then just enter the NBA draft after a particular amount of years. Like
And I think,
this is something that is captivating and intriguing to listen to explore.
and obviously this isn't something that's new. I mean, we've had players in the past who've done this and who,
Absolutely.
who actually been very successful. But hopefully it works out better for him than it did a few others because I think some of those other players might have gotten hurt or they just didn't, it just didn't pan out the way they expected it. But I mean, I understand. To me, the only thing I worry about is that when you're playing college football, when you're playing college
Wow.
basketball, when you're playing college sports in general, I feel like you get more exposure and there's just more tape on you. There's more information out there. I mean, the stats are there, and of course, people are going to have scouts in Australia to watch him. But I mean, I just think that people, to me, you get to see them in college. You get to see them play against the top players around the world in college. You just get an opportunity just to see them in the action. Like, let's say New Zealand doesn't make it to the playoffs or whatever the situation is. You're not going to see him on the big stage. Like I could tell you right now, if he went to one of those schools, he was going to be in the tournament. You know what I mean? He's going to be in the national limelight. So that's the only thing about him not going to college that kind of stinks is that, we don't get a chance to see him in that limelight.
Mm.
Yeah, that's it, honestly. That's it. I mean,
Yeah. So
uh
I do have breaking news.
oh.
Uh, NXT superstar, NXT star Rachel Evers was hit today by a drunk driver today out in
Oh.
Orlando while she was driving home from the WWE Performance Center. So we hope that she has a safe recovery. She was able to tweet about the incident though. So once
That's
again,
something.
like we always keep saying on Gaming Amongst Friends, don't drink and drive, people. Kids, stay off
Right.
drugs, all that
Absolutely.
jazz. Uh,
Hmm.
in other news, too, a NFL Hall of Famer Bart Starr unfortunately passed
Oh
away
yeah.
at the age of
He did.
85 this past week.
He did pass away. That's right.
Yes, who won the first two Super Bowls
Hmm.
and was the MVP of said Super Bowls. So, for Bart Starr's friends and family, Doc and I send, and all of us at Business Amongst Friends send our condolences out.
Absolutely.
See, I started off with, breaking news. Then I did something sombering. Now I'm start with, end up with a high note. Combo Breaker 2019 was this past weekend. Uh, the Mortal Kombat community is rising.
Mm. I heard it's a great game.
It's a great game. You asked me about this too during Combo Breaker weekend too, in fact, and I was saying that it's a really, really good game. It's rising. Um, it's having the same hype as like Dragon Ball Fighter Z did last year,
Hmm.
especially heading towards Evo. But and I'll talk about the first of 10 match that happened for Mortal Kombat as well too. So the results for Combo Breaker this weekend: Scar defeated your boy, the person that you wanted to be modeled after, Sonic Fox in Grand Finals.
Wow.
Actually beat him straight in Grand Finals, in fact. Sonic Fox, who came from losers, who lost to Tweety to make it to go into losers, actually, which is crazy. Tweety, who was he was a very very strong player, very very strong player. In fact,
Hmm.
the top eight was actually quite entertaining to watch. And if you have yourself a chance to watch the top eight for Mortal Kombat 11, it was a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, that's good.
That being said, they also did a first to 10 set where they had players from Florida compete against players from Texas, and that was hype.
Bro.
That was no like that. That was like what Marvel vs. Capcom 3 in like the first 3 years was. How
Hmm.
Street Fighter 4 was in the first couple of years after it launched. Like that's the FGC. People talking
Gotcha.
smack, but not necessarily throwing hands at each other kind of thing. Like just talking smack to each other. Like that's what you needed. You know, if
Gotcha.
if mainstream media like ESPN could cover that, that would that would put us on the map. In my opinion,
Wow.
of course.
On the map.
But it was quite fun to watch, though. Once again, that's also something else. If you haven't watched it, you should definitely watch it.
Interesting.
Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Once again, Sonic Fox unable to make it to grand finals. He entered in fourth place. Go Ichi, who Sonic Fox faced the last year's Evo, and this is how I know. Only I can have you know who it is. Um, Goichi won Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Hmm.
His first combo breaker title, in fact. So, big congrats to him. His kid Goku is ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous. He was
Interesting.
doing a lot of toggling to, and that's basically just moving back and forth to make the other player do something that they're not supposed to do, like trying to do a throw and they whiff the throw, which leads to easy damage. He was doing that a lot, and he was doing a lot of
Hmm.
high-low mix-ups as well too. That grand finals was also really really fun to watch as well too. Other notable people in the top eight for Dragon Ball Fighter Z,
Hmm.
Chris G, your boy from New York City.
Chris
Uh,
G.
yeah, and Chris G ended in fifth place, and Apology Man, who is a Marvel vs. Capcom 3 veteran. I don't know if people will call him a god or not, but he ended in seventh place.
Mm-hmm.
And also Dogura in there. Yep, Dogura ended in ninth place as well, who is also a Street Fighter
Hmm.
5 player. So once again,
Nice.
and you hear me say this before, there's been a lot of people who's fading away from Street Fighter and is going to these other games, and it's because of
Right.
lack of content, and the product just becoming stale, really
Right.
stale. And finally, and of course, Street Fighter V did not conclude Combo Breaker, which A was surprising, but B was the right move from the tournament organizer. The top eight was pretty good. Um, this I was happy to see a Laura player finally making the top eight item,
Wow.
and his Laura has been nothing more than inspirational. I thought Laura could have been a very good player.
Hmm.
It was usually based off of watching Mike Ross play her because she has crazy damage potential, kind of like Cammy.
Gotcha.
But after season two was over, when they went to season three, they nerfed the crap out of her. So I'm glad to see someone is still keeping on that Laura train. Hopefully, I can see the same thing happen at Evo. Who knows? But I'm just hoping for the best. But your boy Punk won his first
Boo.
combo breaker, defeating the
Boo.
reigning, defending, undisputed Evolution champion of 2018, Problem X. Punk with his Karen was able to overcome both Problem X's Bison and Abigail. That
Sister
was pretty
Abigail?
fun. No, not Sister Abigail. Sister Abigail is a lot smaller than Abigail from Street Fighter V. Other people in the top eight was Bachabo, who played Nakali, Haitani, who played Akuma, Gachikun, who played Rashid, John Takuchi, who also played Rashid. So we had two Rashids in top eight. Of course, I mentioned
Rashid.
Item. Yeah, well, you liked Rashid because of the theme song, but I
Damn
can't
music,
blame
that's
you for
right.
that though. That theme song is pretty. It's I still play that theme song on my phone as I'm working.
That's
Like
a pretty good song.
it's that good of a song. I don't know
That's a
if you
damn good
heard.
song.
It's a newer character, Ed. His theme song is pretty poppin' too, but I'll send you that one.
No, I definitely haven't heard
And
that.
rounding out the top eight is Takamura with his Akuma as well too. Other notable people, Fudo was in ninth place. Mena RD, former Capcom Pro Tour champion, was in ninth place. Momochi, who is slowly on the rise though, people better not sleep on him heading into Evo. He has won Evo before.
He
Was
has.
in 13th place. Sako with his Manat. 13th place. Bonchan, who he still stays in that top 20, top 30 range.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be surprised with him. Zhao Hai, with his Cammy did pretty good. Of course, Dagura, Daigo ended in 17th place. Justin Wong, oh my God,
Justin
Justin Wong ended
Wong.
in
Oh my
25th.
god.
Oil King with his Rashid, who was in top 8 for Evo last year, ended in 25th place. 801 Strider with his G, which I can't wait to watch more G players, and I think they probably nerfed G a little bit
Mm-hmm.
in Evo. I think G might make it into the top 8. Because G is another character based off of momentum. If he can level himself up, then
Mm-hmm.
he can't be stopped. But if he's unable to level up, or he keeps getting knocked down and keep going down a level, then of course anyone can have their day. Knuckle Dew and Phenom both was in 25th place as well too. Like I said, like 25th, 33rd place, a lot of strong players. Phenom,
Mm.
33rd place was Luffy, Mago, TS Sabin, Gamer B as well too, who people should not be sleeping on as well. CJ Truth, Filipino Man, our boy K Brad.
Okay. Brr.
Yeah, we already know why we're laughing about that one. um, He ended in 49th place with his Cammy. I mean, there's a lot of strong people. Cool Kid, who was in top 8 last year, ended in 49th place as well. Who was the talk of the town all over Twitter. Tokido, who, is in second place in CBT ranking, ended in 65th place. But once again,
I'm surprised.
just
I'm
because
surprised you
he,
don't want
he
to talk
ended in
about.
65th doesn't mean he won't end up in top 8 in Evo.
I'm surprised you don't want to talk about K
No, we're
Bread's.
not going to talk about that. No, 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 no. I'm not touching that one. I'm not touching that one. Anything can happen there. No,
Anything
sir.
could happen.
No, 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 no. I'm just going to let you keep talking about Punk.
Oh goodness, that's hilarious.
But that's the end of our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you catch us every single Wednesday evening as we head towards the end of season 3.
Yeah.
Season 4, we're going to have a lot of things that we're going to try to start doing. We won't say it on there. We're going to let them be surprises, and we'll do reveals of each new elements that we're going to provide for the show. You can like, subscribe, hit that subscribe button on our YouTube. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you can join the notification squad as well too, so we can let you know whenever we go live or we post new materials. You can listen to us off the podcast on Player FM Radio, Stitcher, and any and all iTunes, Google Podcasts, any and all podcast applications on your iOS or Android devices. Follow us on our social media at Debate Amongst Friends on Twitter, Instagram, uh, what else? Facebook, a whole bunch of stuff actually. Not that I think about it. Holy crap! Make sure you,
Hmm.
just like the doc said, we follow our other channels, Gaming Amongst Friends, where we're playing Division, the Retro Gotti streams as well too. Which one game that I might actually play after Super Mario World actually is a game called The Messenger, and I had a chance to watch Nufi Banga, who I've been watching for many of years actually, do a let's play of the Messenger, which is a not really a homage to games like Ninja Gaiden, but it has a lot of influences from these games. But it's pretty freaking incredible. So I might see if I can acquire this game so I can play that for stream.
Gotcha.
But also make sure you follow the Marks out there, Mark It Out Amongst Friends. They'll be going live, as he was mentioning, to talk about the AEW, the John Moxley conversations, the rapid decline of quality for WWE products at any and all, uh, wrestling trivia, and also make sure you follow Duke It Out as well too. Duke and Duchess will be returning eventually from their sabbatical to talk about all things pop culture, uh, comics, movies, politics. Especially, I want to hear what he has to say about the upcoming Rick and Morty season 4 reveal and how that's coming in the fall of this year.
Hmm.
And that's the show.
What a great show.
Absolutely. Tonight's outro track comes to you from CYNE. The name of the song is Steady. This song is fire. We was able to acquire a music video for you, the people. Make sure you enjoy it. Make
Nice.
sure you follow all of our musicians. We put the links out there in the YouTube channel. Make sure you follow them. Give them some love. Also give love to Croup Dog for providing us with our intro track as well too. Who's been holding it down since day one, actually episode 8, but that's besides the point. But we put the links out there of how you can watch the video and you can follow them. Make sure you show them support. You can follow myself at Professor John Gotti in all social media, Twitter, Instagram as well too. You can follow that podcasting beast on Twitter and Instagram at TL Double. And that's about it. Doc, you got anything else to tell the people?
Nope. I think we did a great job. I mean, always shout out to you, the Professor John Gotti, the king of RNG, the troll master, the data analyzing ninja, the guy who can crunch data with his teeth. With his teeth?
Ninja Plez.
Ninja Les.
I'm actually very excited about some of the things we're going to be doing for next season. I'm excited
Yeah.
about the things that we've been doing now for Gaming Amongst Friends as well. Um,
Hmm.
I can't do without you, man. Like
Hey,
I wouldn't be inspired. I wouldn't have the motivation if I didn't have my brother, my best friend, the person I would take a bullet for immediately. Don't you cry on me! Don't you cry on me!
there's
don't you
no
let me
crying.
don't you let me tear down your emotional space mountain. Don't you let me do that.
There's no crying in podcasting.
There probably is actually.
Okay, yeah, you're right. There probably is.
But thank you very much, ladies and
Hmm.
gentlemen. Catch us next time. And
Absolutely.
like we always say, goodbye, mwah, and to all a good night.
Yo, packing in packages, the war order coming disastrous. I'm getting bottles of water in matches, cause it's hazardous. Immaculate hate and Montagues versus the capitalist. Rooming in generations and nations are going at it. I'm on the front lines of these perilous times. Confusion bonds of minds of world leaders. We need a sign. Array of folk through this dark cloud of injustice. Motherfuck this city of gold that the foreigners lusted. Jewel encrusted green fiends, apocalypse. Can't you see the blips on the radar? Missile hits, overconfident. War strategists became the catalyst. Angry capitalists, the stock market's bastard. Gotta get it ready, my body is so steady. Heart heavy from living so long. In these last days, crusades herself. Gotta selling ourselves short. Gotta abort lifestyles and end this up in. We let the mic breathe, life to dime breeze. In need, we feed words that breed hope, maneuver past the greed. Indeed, we made the eagle fly. We made freedom cry by watching Jim try deceiving the eye. Fucking alibi, we was there on the balcony. A shots blare, my vision was scarred, but we still had something for the people, y'all. Do you remember when Martin had a dream and Bobby had a regiment? It's evident the struggle's on. My thoughts are settling, I gotta play the part. Ain't no other role, I'm better at words and better than revolutionary medicine. I took one pill and the shit was on ever since. I'm trying to keep an open mind. In the wilderness, I hold a sign. Wisdom is war and it's open mind. Older minds put me on to wisdom priceless. To fight opposite the whirlwind till you're lifeless. Look, the game plans to defeat the man. Fuck trying to beat the man. I navigate seas and to freedom land. Get at me, people, if you're trying to soothe the pain. But if not, move over, cause I'm trying to see change. For it's the real. Raven that never came back to the ark. Hanging out with the viper at the garden and eating that anger the god. Show who you really are. Moon eclipsing the star. Precise one reborn, scorned by human flaws. So who is this saying that money is bliss? Your logic will miss. You and the devil about to kiss. I dismiss motherfuckers leading our brothers to streets and gutters, overflowing from tears for my mothers that fall as they witness slow death of their children. While they alive and realize they fell victim to American nightmare. Daring to dream things ain't never what they seem. Can we ever redeem? Hold on to old principles and still remain sensible. Analog art became digital.